I have David with me on the call. I wanted you, David, to share with our audience what you have spotted during your first initial phase in Paraguay, where you would say, "Hey, this is a big pro."
Peace of mind. Like this country will they will leave you alone. So if it's what you want, it's gonna be pretty easy. If you want to live on paycheck from government, it's gonna be harder here. But if you want to be live alone, that's gonna be perfect spot.
Oh yeah. And before, when we didn't start this recording, we were talking about like taxes and how that kind of feels better living in Paraguay than it did living in Canada for you. Do you want to weigh in a little bit here, like what you can expect to pay in taxes this year and then the coming years?
This year we'll still need to pay a little bit in Canada. Next year is gonna be 0%. It's a big upgrade. You give yourself a big raise because I don't know about anybody, but in Canada it's between 48 to 52%. It is kind of a big raise. So you double your salary pretty much instantly.
Exactly. Yeah. And what also is on top, right? The cherry on top is that you don't have to pay that much for your house, right? For rental, for food. We talked about this before too, right? So you're cutting down on everything. It's not just taxes, right? And let's say you end up paying like 10% if you have local income, you can also deduct a lot of stuff. This is a pretty good deal, don't you think?
First of all, the 10% is only if you make money from Paraguay. So if you open a store, stuff like this, which I will not recommend straight out the bat. Why? Because if you don't know anybody, it's not your country. And especially if you're coming from a Western country, in South America, everybody thinks you're a multimillionaire. From $50,000 a year to hundred of million, they don't make it. They don't make the difference that much. They see you and they see money. Okay, if you come here to launch a business or something like this, take your time to know people, and yes, you will top at 10%. So even that, it's not that bad. And like you said, you can here they have the rook. So RUC, it's the kind of a tax number when you go to grocery store, restaurant, like everything is deductible. So, but even if it's not 10%, well, coming from Canada, it's nothing. So,
It's a much better deal, yeah. Now imagine,
yeah.
and we also talked about this before, David, when we were not recorded, but we talked about Europe. What's happening here is crazy, right? Like electricity costs have gone through the roof in many countries, right? And the leadership here, they don't care about whether the people can afford these prices or not. It's not important to them. All they care about is pushing through with their agenda, green energy priorities. That's on top of their agenda, but they don't consider the people. What do you think about energy prices in Paraguay? Do you feel like they're affordable?
No, it's fairly cheap. Like it's hard to say because I never pay electricity bill in Mexico or Costa Rica. Costa Rica is pretty expensive, but like Mexico or Nicaragua, whatever it is. Like Paraguay is the second biggest electricity producer in the world. I think like it's in the top five for sure. So electricity is fairly cheap. I'm a little bit outside of the city. At the beginning, electricity wasn't so stable, so we lose like a 5 minute probably every 3 4 days. But they fixed something in the on the electricity line, and we didn't lose any electricity since then. Good news. So electricity is fairly stable. In the city, you don't have this problem at all. Like because I'm a little bit outside, I did have a little bit of this problem, but now it's fixed. Water bill, it's fairly cheap. Like everything is much cheaper because why? Paraguay is one of the biggest soft water in the world as well, with the like the big river and electricity, a lot of electricity. So energy and water, it's a perfect country for that. Why this country still under, still kind of in the dark and nobody's talking about it? I think there's a lot of pressure from country around this country here that make this country not being able to promote it much and stuff like this. Because in terms of food, big producer, electricity, big producer, but Brazil have his hands a lot in Paraguay, Argentina, United States. I don't know. Maybe there's people that want this country to stay relaxed and a little bit in the background.
What
Yeah.
you pointed out about energy, I just wanted to add a point here too. Like what they did in Europe was that they are limiting the energy supply because of the war. And that's one of the worst things you can do for the middle class because it reduces the supply, right? If there are less options and less availability, the supply shrinks and the costs go up. Where in
Mhm.
Paraguay, that's just not the case. you know, and hopefully there will never be war in Paraguay again. But like you say, it's an under the radar country. It's not really promoted and people don't really think about it. Of course, it's landlocked, right? So naturally people look into like Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Argentina, right? The countries that just seem to be more popular, right? That already are enjoying a brand of sort. But Paraguay
Yeah.
doesn't really have that. But I personally think that's actually a big pro because you don't want to swim with the masses because
Mhm.
oftentimes they're not swimming in the right direction. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, exactly. A lot of people tend to think that, oh, if I go there, I'm stuck there for the rest of my life. No, like Paraguay, what they ask you the first 2 years, and they don't really look at this, but if you want to do everything really by the rules, you need to stay 4 months the first year and then 4 months the second year. And then after that, it's 24 hours per year to keep your residency. So, like, become a taxpayer of Paraguay. Don't even have a bank account here. If you're coming from the Western world, have a Wise account, have a Juno, whatever it is. You can have a small bank account here. So when you can place a little bit of money. Money is fairly stable for South America and Paraguay. It's one of the most stable in all South America. Like they give you a yield of like 10 to 11% here at the bank. But a loan credit card are really high in interest rate and stuff like this. Like, okay. But if you have a little bit of saving and you're like, you know what? I have $20,000, like whatever it is, it can be millions, but and money is fairly stable. So you're like, okay, you can place a little bit here, have a nice yield, a lot of construction opportunity. You can place your money into construction, sites and stuff like this. You go with the big company. Don't go with the small one that looks weird and that's a way to do it. But if you don't want to put any money here because you don't trust the South American system, well, don't put any. I don't have a bank account here. Like, okay, but I'm a taxpayer here, which is 0%. So I don't really. It's just a way to have peace of mind. You have a place to be resident because these days you cannot be like a non-resident of any country. You're gonna have question to answer at some point, and you don't want to go there.
So to summarize now all the pros that we talked about, the first one that we talked about was that the government leaves you alone, right? The government's pretty easy peasy. It's not very regulated. And that's a huge pro. If you're coming from Europe, North America, I mean, this is a 180-degree shift pretty much. It's different. Then another thing that we pointed out was the resources, natural resources, right? Electricity, lots of supply, water, lots of supply. And that's good to keep the costs low. And the third thing that you now just pointed out is, of course, that if you want to, say, deposit money in a bank, right, you can expect pretty decent returns yield. So that's also good, which reminds me of the time when I was in Vietnam and these options were available.